Welcome to the Free Will Photos podcast with Chris Scott, where I help new photographers overcome photography equipment, editing applications, and creative blocks so you can go further in your photography journey. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Free Will Photos podcast. Before I get into the episode, I want to go ahead and give you guys some admin notes. So if you have been following the podcast, I've been posting episodes of the podcast every Monday and Friday. Well, with the introduction of the video podcast, it takes a little bit more time. So I am reducing the podcast frequency to once per week, with the podcast starting on or being aired on Monday. And then the podcast sound bites being posted to YouTube along with some more engaging content. And then on Friday or Saturday, depending on how that week goes, I will be posting some more information or videos on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully this doesn't come as a surprise, but I do have a full-time job and I'm also a husband. So I just want to make sure that I'm divvying out my time reasonably. So there it is. So photo walks, what are they and why do people even care to do it? A photo walk is essentially you going out into an area with your camera and taking pictures. Everyone, they have different techniques and they have different challenges that they like to include on their photo walks. But a generic photo walk is just you walking and taking pictures, enjoying your surroundings, or at least observing them and capturing them, working on your camera settings, things of that sort. Photo walks are a great way for you to stay inspired and creative, which is something that I encourage a lot on the podcast and on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't even considered going on a photo walk because, the pandemic is going on right now, you can do a photo walk in your backyard. And, you'll say, well, I've already seen everything that's in my backyard. I guarantee you probably haven't. You can even do a photo walk around your house. Now, stay with me for those of you who are seasoned. It sounds a little lame, but believe it or not, there are nuances and interesting ways of capturing simple things in your home that you probably haven't even thought about. So don't discredit the fact that you can walk around your house and take some photos that are going to be pretty interesting. Just keep that in mind. Now, typically when you go on these photo walks, you employ or you start to use a challenge technique. Popular ones are take 15 steps, create a photo. Take another 15 steps, create a photo. Or walk somewhere, you stop. Wherever you stop, then that's where you're going to take 3 to 5 photos, 5 to 10 photos, whatever the limit is. You stop and you take a series of photos. The purpose of this drill, and really any photo walk, is that you go and observe your surroundings. It's very important that as photographers, we pay attention to the things that are happening around us so we can engage with it in a very intellectual and creative way. When we just go throughout our day and we have this, an idea of what we already want to go and capture, nothing wrong with that. However, there's so much that we just walk right past, the beauty that we walk right past. And I experienced that today on my photo walk where I was just surrounded with beauty. So photo walks, they're very simple, straightforward, lots of reasons to do them, if not just to be creatively inspired. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that most photographers get out of photo walks when they go on them. The first thing is creativity. I've already mentioned this, but creativity is extremely important for any type of artist. And when you go on these photo walks, I keep saying photo walks, I'm going to slow down on that. So when you go out and you are moving slowly through the location that you choose to go photograph, you will be surprised at what you pass up, because you may think like, oh no, the sun is setting, I want to go get set up on top of this cliff because that's where I'm going to be able to see the best overlook. But what you miss is what the sun or the light or whatever is doing with the surroundings on the way to there. So it's important, that you go and get the shot that you're looking for, but always be aware of what's around you. And that's the beauty of going out and practicing this skill. Now, the other thing that we get out of it is a sense of, like, if you're using a challenge, you get a sense of education on your camera. You get more familiar with your dials, with your buttons and your knobs and your doodads and all that cool stuff. But what you also get is just a sense of comfort with, because there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure for you to make something amazing or elaborate. No one is grading you or judging you. You're just going to show up, you're going to take some pictures, and then you're going to go on about your day. That's awesome. I don't know about you, but I really, really enjoy just being able to take some photos and then go on about my day. Call it good, right? The next thing that you get out of photo walks is engagement with other people. Today I went on a photo walk with my family. Now, I'm the only photographer in my family, but I've been teaching my wife how to use a camera, get it off of auto, and, really take control of the settings and the ability that you can do with the camera. Well, my wife, she's a creative person by nature, but she is still learning how to use the camera. When we went on this photo walk, she was able to practice some of the things that I've been teaching her, and it's fun, one, for me to watch my wife learn, or at least try and use the techniques that I'm teaching her. So that was a lot of fun. I really did appreciate that, and she enjoyed it. The second thing that we got out of the photo walk was my wife, my wife got plenty of pictures. She took a lot of pictures, and she just enjoyed being out of the house, and then also observing the nature around us. We just went to a park that had a little walking trail, nothing special. But my 8-year-old daughter, I gave her a point and shoot camera. It is a Lumix, whatever this is. I bought this expecting to be able to use this for YouTube videos, and I never really did it I never made any videos with it, or at least I didn't like the videos that I made out of it. So I gave that to my daughter, put it on auto, and she took pictures. Like, the composition, the creativity of a kid, of a child, is just so amazing. I didn't coach her through any of it. I didn't say, hey, look at that. She just seen stuff, and she went and she snapped the photo. So that inspired me, because I was seeing the things that she was pointing out, and that's always exciting, because it's like, all right, well, let me see what you see when we walk down this path. So my creative challenge, or I guess my creative lens and license, was reinvigorated because of my daughter, who knew nothing about photography, and she just wanted to take a part in it. And then my oldest daughter, I gave her my old smartphone, and she had a great time. She took photos, mostly of us, because that's who she is. She likes to take photos of people and what people are doing, the things that we're doing. So she took mostly photos of us. There was a point in the photo walk, however, where I found this interesting little, or not interesting, there was this river that you wouldn't even know was there if you didn't walk into the trees. Now, when we got back there, the sun and the light, because all the trees were kind of hanging over the river, it was causing a really interesting shadow area. So I sat there, and my daughter, who has this point and shoot camera, she walks in right behind me, and she sits there with me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm waiting to see what's going to change." And she's like looking around, antsy. She didn't realize that there are these ducks that were coming down the river, and I was just waiting for those ducks to come into my frame. And I never actually captured the ducks, not at the way that I seen it in my mind. But it was just so peaceful, because while I was waiting for the ducks, I was looking around and I was making photographs of where I was. I took a photo of my foot, right? Like, who takes photos of their feet? And it's not a great photo. I'll never tell you that it was a great photo. But I will say it was a photo that I found inspiring, because I was out and about creating. I was out of my environment, or I was out in my environment, and I was really connected with my camera. Now, I've been using the EOS R6 for about 3.5 weeks now, 4 weeks, I don't know, something like that. I'll just say a month, right? I think I got it at the beginning of October, and I used the 35 1.8 RF lens, and that's what I took out with me today. Now, I had a series of other lenses, because I was like, man, I'm going on this photo walk and I want to make sure that I have a lens to do X, Y, Z, M, V, whatever. And when I got out there, I said, I'm going to simplify what I do today. And this has a similar macro capability, the 35 millimeter lens. It has a 2-to-1 magnification, and you can focus pretty close with it. So I was able to take some fairly macro shots, which is what I'm used to. I like to shoot macro. I like to shoot small tabletop products, things of that sort. And it's fall, so I was taking pictures of leaves and looking at the different textures inside of the leaves. It was overcast, so I had very even tones on many of the leaves. And then something really cool happened while we were out. It started to rain. Now, I got a little nervous at first. I said, okay, here I am with a $2,000+ camera, and the camera that my wife was using, it was, it's right here. It's the Nikon D3400, right? Not an overly expensive camera, just something that it works for her. So here I am with all this photography equipment out in the rain, and I was like, okay, I could just say, let's pack it up and go home, or we can stay out and take some more creative photos. And it was just beautiful, because the environment changed. It went from this dry, cool, overcast environment to this very damp and moist environment fairly quick. Something that I wasn't expecting. And I was just in my surroundings. The leaves that I was taking pictures of before that had no water on them, now they have water on them. That was inspiring. I was looking for different ways to play with the light. I was looking for different ways to capture the leaves, different angles. I worked 5 different angles on one leaf, just because I wanted to see where I could go with my creative vision. Now, this sounds like a very long rant from me in reference to photo walks. The point that I really want to make, and I really want everyone to, I want this to hit home for everyone. Photo walks are a fantastic way for you to get inspired, but you have to step out of your comfort zone to do so. I've been shooting a lot of indoors tabletop stuff because it's cold outside, and I'm not asking anyone to go get in any unsafe conditions. But I am saying you should probably step outside of your comfort zone and engage in something that stretches you, because that's the only way that we can truly progress in our photography abilities, is if we step beyond what we already know. Now, like I said, I used just this 35 millimeter 1.8 RF lens on my Canon R6. In a previous episode, I talked about I photograph RAW and JPEG. That's what I'd use when I'm photographing clients and I'm out on location. Well, I photograph RAW and JPEG today, and I only edited the JPEG images, as always. And I found that in landscape, I really do need those raw images, or at least today I did, because the light, it just wasn't cooperating as much. I needed to open up the shadows a little bit more than I was able to for the exposure that I got out of the camera. But a lot of the photos, there's a photo of a dog. There was a man that was walking his dog out there on the path, and the dog's name was Roscoe. And I asked the guy, hey, do you mind if I just photograph your dog real quick? Just random, really friendly guy. The dog wasn't really having it, didn't want to pay attention, but I was able to get a really good photo, and that photo I was really pleased with, just a JPEG. So that is a segue for everyone who thinks that you have to shoot RAW only. If you are concerned that because you're shooting RAW only, you don't want to go on a photo walk to, practice your skill, shoot in JPEG only. You'll get some great images. And the images that I was going out today, I didn't set out on the photo walk and say, hey, I want to get the greatest award-winning photographs. Instead, I said, hey, I want to spend time with my family. I want to share my passion and love for photography with them. I know that my youngest daughter wanted to learn how to use a camera, so I gave her a point and shoot. I know that I was teaching my wife, so I gave her a D3400, something that's easy to operate. And we were just out there creating together. It was beautiful. The moment and the memory that I got from going on the photo walk, I'm going to remember that, because not only did I learn about my camera, I learned the importance of patience. Patience in photography and patience in life. So I encourage everyone to pick up their camera and go on a photo walk today. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I want you guys to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace. Thank you for listening to today's episode. As mentioned at the top of the show, if you would like to ask a very specific question, send an email to freewillphotos@gmail.com, or you can leave a message on the Free Will Photos Anchor.fm page. Both links are listed in the show notes. I'm always looking for guests to be part of the show. So if you would like to join me in discussing any topic related to photography, send me an email. As always, I want you to stay inspired and keep creating.